Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News at 5 starts now.
Good evening. A shakeup in the elections office just 5 days away from the primary election. The assistant registrar of voters, Jackie St. George, is announcing her retirement, but officials say they do not foresee any problems on election day. 23 ABC's Tori Cooper joins us live from the elections office in downtown Bakersfield. She spoke to the elections office about how they've been preparing for St. George's departure, only days away from Super Tuesday, and who will take her place. Tori?
Yes, the elections office would not provide details into why Jackie St. George retired from her post so suddenly. Officials telling 23 ABC News she leaves behind more than 20 years of experience, but that the person who is scheduled to temporarily fill in is qualified.
I don't expect any impact on Tuesday's election.
Just 5 days before voters head to the polls for Super Tuesday, Assistant Registrar of Voters Jackie St. George announced her retirement. Election officials telling 23 ABC it was all part of their plan since 2015, despite what looks like a sudden departure.
But we were planning for it. We put together a reorganization plan in 2015.
The Registrar of Voters, Mary Bedard, says election officials presented a restructuring plan to the Board of Supervisors 5 years ago that would allow them to hire new positions, account for numerous retirements, and promote within. And they say Amy Espinoza, the Assistant Auditor Controller, will be stepping into George's position.
Is temporarily stepping in as the Assistant Registrar of Voters. And then we'll look at reorganizing, going back to the Board of Supervisors and seeing what other changes we need to make.
Bedard says George had more than 20 years of experience working in elections. Espinoza has several years as well. Officials say they believe it should be a smooth temporary transition for Espinoza, and they expect everything to be ready to go when the polls open on Tuesday morning.
Already geared up, all the preliminary work is done. We've got the poll places, we've got poll workers recruited and trained.
Now, Bedard also told 23 ABC News that this departure has nothing to do with the recent concerns surrounding Kern County Elections Office and whether or not they are prepared to tackle Super Tuesday. But for now, in Central Bakersfield, I'm Tori Cooper for 23 ABC News, connecting you.
Pete Buttigieg addressing local Congressman and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy during last night's debate while taking aim at Senator Bernie Sanders' policy of Medicare for all and its changing price tag. Take a listen.
At some point has said it is unknowable to even see what the price tag would be. Now there are new numbers going. I'll tell you exactly what it adds up to. It adds up to 4 more years of Donald Trump, Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House, and the inability to get the Senate into Democratic hands.
Congressman McCarthy addressed those comments last night. He said with every Democrat on stage embracing socialism, even Buttigieg knows that Republicans are going to take back the House. Buttigieg has not responded to what McCarthy said. Meantime, former Vice President Joe Biden has picked up a major endorsement ahead of Saturday's primary, though much of the focus Tuesday was centered on frontrunner Bernie Sanders. ABC's Trevor Ault has the latest.
Ahead of Saturday's pivotal South Carolina primary, former Vice President Joe Biden picking up a major endorsement from Representative Jim Clyburn, one of the most influential politicians in the state.
But I want the public to know that I'm voting for Joe Biden. South Carolinians should be voting for Joe Biden.
That endorsement coming the morning after Biden declared on the debate stage,
I intend to win South Carolina, and I will win the African-American vote here in South Carolina.
Biden is still leading in South Carolina polls, but much of Tuesday's fiery and at times chaotic debate was aimed at the national frontrunner, Senator Bernie Sanders.
Bernie, in fact, hasn't passed much of anything.
I do not think that this is the best person to lead the ticket.
Progressives have got one shot, and we need to spend it with a leader who will get something done.
I'm hearing my name mentioned a little bit tonight. I wonder why.
With rivals pouncing on his policies, the senator stood firm.
Do we think health care for all, Pete, is some kind of radical communist idea? Do we think raising the minimum wage to a living wage? That is why I am beating Trump in virtually every poll that has done and why I will defeat him.
Saturday's South Carolina primary is the last before the race goes national. Super Tuesday now less than a week away. 14 states and a territory up for grabs that day. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
And 23 ABC wants to help you make an informed decision on Super Tuesday, which is less than a week away on March 3rd and the day California voters go to the polls. We have information on local measures, national and local candidates, along with propositions on our website, turnto23.com. Kern County oil and gas permits are on hold tonight, and this comes after the California District Court of Appeals found that the county used a flawed environmental impact study to pass an oil and gas industry friendly ordinance in 2015. County officials said yesterday they would address it today, but have yet to release a comment as of news time. Court of Appeals found that the county used a defective environmental impact study in 2015 to help pass an oil and gas industry friendly ordinance, allowing them to fast track thousands of drilling permits. Today's meeting was 2 years in the making, with planning and environmental investigation on how this ordinance will impact the oil and gas industry and the community. According to the court order, the county must stop issuing these permits within 30 days, and they must show that they can and will comply with the state's environmental law. 23 ABC spoke to a local official back in 2015 about the importance of the permits.
We need to support this industry. We can continue employing people and working here in Kern County and providing the petroleum that powers our lives.
The court order also found county officials didn't allow the public adequate time to review the impact study. By failing to do so, it said it could have caused harm from water use, air pollution, farmland degradation, and increased noise, as well as harmfully impact family health. Meantime, the Department of Conservation has released a statement on the decision. It wrote in part, quote, "The decision states that existing permits are not affected by this ruling, and the current permit evaluation system will remain in place for 30 days. During that time, the DOC will determine appropriate next steps to ensure that any approvals include appropriate CEQA compliance," end quote. Now, to read the full statement, be sure to head to our website, turnto23.com. Now to news around the country. An active situation has been reported at Milwaukee's Molson Coors headquarters this afternoon. Now, according to law enforcement, multiple casualties have been reported from a shooting situation. ABC News and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel are both reporting that the shooter is dead. There is significant police activity near the beer company's headquarters. Surrounding businesses and schools are also under a lockdown, but sources say the shooting is no longer active. The FBI is on scene assisting Milwaukee police in the investigation. A federal appeals court in New York says the Trump administration can withhold law enforcement grants to force states and cities to cooperate with U.S. immigration enforcement. The Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals made that ruling today. The ruling overturned a lower court's decision that ordered the release of federal funding from 2017 to 7 states and New York City. The states are New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Washington, Massachusetts, Virginia, and Rhode Island. The Justice Department called it a major victory for Americans. An ACLU attorney said it was the first such ruling to side with the Trump administration on the issue.
If you felt that it was extra warm out there today, then you were correct. Bakersfield felt record-breaking heat with a high of 82 degrees. The record of 80 was set back in 1992, so it was the warmest day of the year so far, and we were actually 16 degrees above average. And these warm temperatures continuing into the evening hours, still in those upper 70s with mostly clear skies here in Bakersfield, and that is up 6 degrees from yesterday. But we continue to track very low relative humidity values, so that dry air mass is in control, and that's going to be the case over the next several days as well. But if you are planning your evening by 8 p.m., temperatures in the low 60s here in Bakersfield, 58 by 10 p.m., and the mountain communities are going to be dipping down into those 40s, low 50s in the desert by 10 as well. But you can expect even warmer temperatures to come for your Thursday and Friday. I'll let you know just how warm we will be getting coming up next.
We want to turn now to the latest on the coronavirus emergency. A warning from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention urging Americans to prepare for potential significant disruptions in their lives. President Donald Trump announcing that Vice President Mike Pence will lead the U.S. response to coronavirus. Today, new cases of coronavirus have been reported in Croatia, Brazil, and Canada. The CDC saying it's not a question of if the virus will spread more widely in the United States, but when. Officials say people should avoid traveling to South Korea, Iran, or Italy for the time being. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers continuing the debate of the country's state of readiness.
The immediate risk to the American public remains low, but there is now community transmission in a number of countries, including outside of Asia, which is deeply concerning.
It is alarming that the administration is proposing to take money from one emergency to pay for another.
The government said it could need around 300 million masks to fight an outbreak. Right now, it only has about 30 million. President Trump asking Congress for $2.5 billion in emergency funding. Officials say a coronavirus vaccine is still at least several months away. And Kern County Public Health posting on social media today about the coronavirus. The department says it's working closely with the California Department of Public Health and the CDC so that they can be prepared for any cases here locally. Kern Public Health says the risk in our community remains low and no confirmed cases are here at this time. The Delano Police Department will be cracking down on impaired drivers and improper licensing this week. They're scheduled to hold a DUI and driver's license checkpoint within Delano city limits this Friday. Officials say DUI checkpoints and saturation patrols are conducted in locations with higher frequency of DUI-related collisions and arrests. The department says in 2017, more than 1,100 people were killed in alcohol-involved crashes. People around the globe, including here at home, are starting the Lent season with a visit to the church. For some locals who couldn't make it to church this morning, they got to receive their ashes on the streets. Emmanuel Lutheran Church's pastor, Don Wilder, was offering ashes for Bakersfield workers on L Street on the west side of the Kern County Courts building. A small group of congregants were assisting with prayers.
What they represent is that we are all kind of on an equal and level playing field, and all of us come to God and to our lives in the same way.
Many Christians will then choose to fast or give up something they enjoy for the period. Easter Sunday falls on April 12th.